Hi everyone, Catherine here from Inky Finger Cat. I'm loving doing Kendras card challenges at the moment, so I thought I'd do a video on just the cutting apart of this particular set. I decided I was going to use my Kingston Crafts papers because I've got them, but also they come with solid colours of the same colours that coordinate, and I thought it'd just make it really easy to just use the one paper pad. And because there's so much paper in this paper pad, it's ridiculous how much paper you get for the value of money that it was sold at on Hobby Maker. I don't know if it's still available. I'll have to have a look. It's really good for doing these sorts of challenges with, because I could do this 4 times over and only have used up one of each of the sheets of pattern paper. It's ridiculous. So what do? I start with my 6 pieces of pattern paper that I know are going to coordinate. I have done a little check there to see which is the one that's going to be affected most by the directions. So there are arrows on the template that tell you the direction the paper's going to lay on the final card. So some of them you'll want to avoid particularly directional papers. I have got 2 directional papers in this particular pack, and I know one of them is going to probably cause me a problem later on. So I might end up switching that one out, or just not doing that particular card in the way that it's designed and choose my own template, to put it together. But you'll see there, I take each piece of paper, I then follow the cutting instructions, and I'll explain about the cutting instructions in a minute. And I will then lay out the pieces as I've cut them as they are on the template, and then I've got envelopes that are just random envelopes, but I've penciled the number of the card sketch on the back of the envelope, and I pop all the pieces into those envelopes. So each time I do it, I go, right, this is for card number 6, etc. So Kendras templates, I think, are brilliant. I'm not saying they're foolproof, because I've absolutely made mistakes. I didn't make mistakes on this one, which is quite unusual. I think I made a mistake on the layering guide later, but I didn't make a mistake on the pattern paper part. But they are brilliant because they tell you exactly what to do. First of all, each piece has got a little scissor emblem, which shows you where to make your first cut, and that's really helpful in not going through another piece that suddenly you realise, oh no, that should have been longer, etc. So my first thing to do is always to find the cutting, the scissors, to know where that first cut line is. And then I take the panel that's been cut off from that cut line, and I'll work my way through that. Then I'll work out where's the second cut line, the most sensible one to do. And I'll cut along that and do that panel until you're left with your last bit. Now this one was a little bit more complicated because I did have to do some little pencil marks just to know where the 2-inch or the 3-inch mark, I can't remember what it was, is. And that helped me to just cut along. And then again, I go through each of the pieces, put them into my envelopes so they're ready for next time. So D is my one that is my most directional piece that I really don't want trees on their side. The baubles is the other one that I didn't particularly want them on their side. Again, I'm just using the pencil there to be able to follow the marks. I actually probably didn't need to do that element of it at that point. I could have just waited for anything that's a fold line or a different shape. I had at that point just one of those little pieces had popped itself back out of an envelope, so I had to go and find where that went, try and keep them organised, try and keep them in the envelopes. There are other ways of doing this. If you had pouches or, like an acetate pouch or something, that would probably help. But this is the way I do it. I just keep them there, and then what I can then do is just bundle those envelopes together, put them with the instructions and put them aside until I'm ready to make up cards. And I can do them 1 or 2 or 3, or even go and do a whole lot of them. But I find 15 in one go is quite tiresome, because I like change and I like to look at something different. So I don't like using the same pattern paper over and over again. That's why I've currently got, I think, 3 Kendras card kits on the go. Kendras card challenges on the go, where I've already kitted them up like this. And that's how I do it. Right, so that was all my pattern paper. Now I'm on to my solids. And on each of the templates, each of the sketches of the cards, and you can just see it off there to bottom left, Kendra's not only given us how to lay out the card, which again is all optional. You don't have to do any of these things. It's just a really good way of using up your pattern papers, and she's come up with some brilliant sketches, so why would you not follow? I mean, I do always end up fiddling around with them a bit, and sometimes I don't quite do the same orientation or whatever. But she has also given you the cutting guides for all of the layers. So on this one, and what I do is I tend to then just lay them out. I choose the paper, I grab the papers back out of the envelope to look at what's the best colour match, and then I'll go in with those layers. So on that particular one, I've got that dark green and the red, which is kind of like a weird peachy red is the best description for it. These are beautiful colours in this kit. So again, I am literally just putting the papers where they should be, working out what is the best, and in this case I reversed it, and so the red was the outer layer and the green is the inner layer, and that just gives me all my pieces that I might need. Any extra bits that go on the top, so for example this one here has got a panel that I'm assuming I'm going to put an embellishment or sentiment on. I don't always measure these perfectly, I just do them with the scraps that I've got to the side, and so again, I'll just put those in. Sometimes they call for 2 layers and sometimes I don't bother cutting that because I know I'm going to do it as a sentiment, or I'm going to do it as a die cut or an embellishment. So for example, on that one, I think it's clearly says the word sentiment and there's clearly a layer to it, but I don't end up doing the layer that's going to go on the top of that red banner because I know I'm either going to stamp it or I'm going to use something that's pre-made. Okay, so this is me then trying to work out, can I fit various pieces on those scraps that need layers? And I decided I probably couldn't. So I decided to change the plan around that and just take a bigger piece. Sometimes it's very much hit and miss, and sometimes I will end up, even though I've got this kit pouched, this card sketch in a pouch, in an envelope, I sometimes change it again. And I might add in extra elements. I know I did some with my magazine kit that I'm working on at the moment with foiling. And so I ended up adding foiling to some of the pattern papers, to some of the background pieces, and it changes it up completely. This is just getting all the basics into one place. And the idea of this is that then I've got my instructions, I've got my cards, elements, I've got my pattern papered elements already cut up, ready. And it's just the fun bit of assembling and choosing what elements I want to put with it. Do I want to put stamped elements with it? Do I want to put die cut elements with it? I'm thinking that for this, I'm probably going to go into that massive kit of acetate and vellum pieces that I know will coordinate perfectly with this cardstock, this pattern paper, and this coloured cardstock, because it was designed to go together. So I'm probably going to go into that and try and use some of that up to make these cards. But I can also then think, right, well, I've got ribbons or I've got twines and things like that. What else can I add in? The next thing that I love to do, which isn't going to be on this video because that's at the point where I start making up the cards, is adding in texture. So quite a lot of the panels where they are blank panels, so like that one there, it's got quite a large green blank piece. That was where I made a mess with my cutting template. The cream should have been going behind the green. Oh no, that green isn't, sorry, that's pattern paper. Okay, but if it was a plain background, that's the point where I start adding in embossing. So whether that be I add in my embossing folders, or I might even do some stamped elements in gold embossing or something along those lines. It's always fun to add that in. So yeah, I think about the texture at the next stage. This is very much about getting all the basics together. Am I happy with how it looks in terms of the colour matches, etc.? Like that's crying out to be embossed. I actually think that one does say embossed panel, possibly. Oh no, it's that one with the diagonal stripes. I think she has put embossed panel on it as a hint, a tip, an idea. But yeah, something with a fairly plain background, I'm probably going to bring some texture into that. I'm probably going to bring out an embossing folder or two. So this is how I do my Kendras card challenge cutting bits. And some of it is just about getting that pattern paper cut into, because I am a bit of a hoarder of pattern paper. I do like to hold on to it, and sometimes we just need that urge to just cut into it. And once it's cut into, I'm happy to use it. But when it's a big sheet of 12 by 12 or a sheet of A4, sometimes you just want to keep it as it is, pristine, and then you don't end up using your supplies. And I am definitely not about not using supplies. I'm all about using them. So I'm going to keep going with this video in terms of there's not much left to do. There are only a few more. I did end up pulling in extra colours of the solid cardstock from, again, all from that paper kit. It wasn't from a different thing. And some of the cutting I did off screen, some of it I did on screen. But this is me just basically trying to put together as many of these card kits as possible till I end up with the 15 at the end. So I must admit, when I first saw this number 20, I was like, oh, there's so many little bits. But actually it worked okay with the paper that I chose because it has got that small print element. I think if you used a paper that was designed to be 6 by 6, it'll work fine. If you've used a paper that's designed to be 12 by 12, it might be more challenging to do this particular one. The good news is, because I'm using the Kingston Crafts one, the Kingston Crafts ones are designed with the same design on both sides, just one of them is bigger print than the other. And sometimes it's good because I can flip it over and see, do I want the bigger size print or do I want the smaller size print? I think I'll probably end up using the smaller size print for all of these because they are smaller panel pieces. I'm looking forward to working with these. I haven't at this point yet built a single card. They're all still in their envelopes and they've been put to one side because I kind of ran out of time. As it is, I'd done these cutting sessions in 2 different days. So I did one after work yesterday and one this morning. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you find it helpful if you're attempting a Kendras card challenge to see how I organise it and how I cut all the pieces up and put them into the pouches, etc. Please do give me a like if you did, thumbs up, etc. And until next time,